Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. So excited. Love Mondays. I know everybody kind of tends to not really be a fan, but I enjoy them. I love starting a week off right. I like a week that starts off strong with some great information, great. I think it's less about energy, to be honest. I think it's more of a vibe. And I like Monday to be a vibe. And, in considering today's topic, I think it's a great Monday topic. And I'm so excited to talk to you guys today about it. So let's get into it. I am Jackie, your perimenopause fat loss coach, and welcome to the It's Not You pod, the place where your symptoms finally make sense. Okay. I spent 15 years coaching figure skating before my own hormonal shift rewrote everything I knew about my body. And now I help women like you all burn fat, fix the fatigue, drop the damn bloat, and stop buying the bullshit that this is just your age. This is just what you have to do now, or the body you have to live in now. Come on. So if your body's been acting differently, you're in the right place. So let's get into it. So today I wanted to talk about like the new rules our body is playing by, because let's talk about the quiet part here. we all know because we felt it. If you feel like you hit that wall, no movement on the scale, no inches changing, no energy, no traction, it's easy to call it a plateau. And this is like so super important for us ladies to understand about our bodies because, our bodies are doing like crazy shit to begin with. And, we end up kind of behind the eight ball just because we're so busy. We've got so many things going on by the time we arrive in midlife that we forget to manage ourselves, and that's not your fault at all. We just tend to spread ourselves really thin, but I want to talk about today what most women call a plateau isn't actually a plateau. And I'm seeing a lot of this. So I think it's a great time to really talk about it because it's something deeper, something quieter that's going on. It's something your body's been trying to communicate for a while, and now it's just stopped, right? It stopped you, let's say. It's not stopping communicating, but it's stopping you now from progressing forward. And that's if you're on a plan, if you're not on a plan, whatever it is, if you've stopped getting results. A true plateau means that your body has everything it needs and it still is not responding. Okay, I want to say that again. A true plateau means your body has everything that it needs. That means you're hitting your targets, but it's still not responding. Okay, so let's talk about how that's almost never the case because most women are not plateaued, but they call it that, right? Depleted, if you're underfueled, if you're overstressed, okay, running on fumes while trying to operate at full capacity, so your plateau, it's just usually your body doing the best it can with what it has. Okay, so if you are, say you have a macro plan and your maintenance is up here, but you're like, it's too much food. It's just too much. I'm not doing it. Well, then you're not hitting that maintenance. You're staying that, then you're going to stay here. You're under fueling. Okay. That's under fueling. When you think about, you just look at your protein. That's too much protein. I can't possibly eat that much protein. I can't possibly. So your protein target is up here. you're down here, you're under fueling. Okay. Your body is needing this, but you're giving it this. Imagine trying to do that in a car if you refuse to put an ounce extra of gas in the tank. It's not going to move, right? So when you're under eating, overworking, overscheduling, undersleeping, overthinking, okay, under recovering, also tied into sleeping and other things, over caffeinating, under carbing. How many of us want to skip carbs? Oh my God, Jackie, how do you look like that? You must never eat carbs. No, I eat all the carbs. In fact, there's even carbs in my coffee. Almond milk. This is my iced shaken espresso. I get a venti. I'm not shy about it. Once I hate these little labels that Starbucks puts on them. Yes, excuse myself for Starbucks. Monday. Once it gets down to here, I'm going to put a scoop of my protein powder in it. It is not the only place I get protein, but that is a great way to get an extra 25-ish grams of protein just by having coffee. I also had an egg white. Egg whites are a great source of protein, lower fat, but I do not avoid the yolk. I eat the yolk. Just today I happen to have an egg white because I got the egg white spinach and feta wrap from Starbucks. And that's overall, you got your veg. I'm a real vegetable person. I like to get my dark greens in. They're high in iron. They're great for magnesium. That is very important for midlife ladies. So a little bit of a veer off there. So not over caffeinating because I do counterbalance with water, and honestly, it's all about balance. Hang on one second, ladies. For a little while there, I wasn't getting the pop-up. Anyway, back to it. So if you're just doing the under recovering, the over caffeinating, under carbing, I've cut down on my caffeine. I have it a few times a week. I don't have it every day. That's been an active choice, and I'm still here to talk about it. So Your Anywhere Fit coach is doing the same things. It's everything I teach my clients, I do. If you're under hitting your protein, that's where you left off, and over carrying emotional loads, because emotions will make you physically exhausted. It affects all the insides. And I know when I get really upset about something and I'm carrying something too heavy, it affects me. You know, I've actually gotten physically sick before from doing that. So I manage my emotions better. I've improved that more. I've put more attention to it in midlife because it's essential to do that because our hormones are out of whack. I was on that same estrogen emotional roller coaster that we're all on in midlife. So you got to pay extra attention and do the work to manage your emotions, okay? Your metabolism shifts into a conservation, not starvation mode, but a conservation mode when these things happen, you know, but your body will and does hold on to energy, which is why we have this weight coming on, you know. It'll also hold water, okay? It'll hold fat, anything it may need. So you may have some inflammation response. You may have some water weight going on. It's not that it's refusing to change. It's responding to the load that it's handling. So that so-called plateau that's going on is often your body saying, I don't have enough to work with. I'm trying to keep you safe. I need more support before I can do more for you. So my ladies who are not hitting the maintenance calories, not hitting the target protein, and you're down here because you don't want to come up here because the number of calories is like, oh my God, that's a really big number. I can't do that. In my mind, I'm looking at that number going, oh my God, the scale is going to go up if I go up in my calories. That's what you're fighting against. Let's acknowledge that. Okay, because when you are not up here and you're down here, there's where you're holding yourself up. Okay. So spending a little time, explaining that, because I think that I see a lot of this. And I shouldn't say I think. I know what you ladies are thinking with the numbers. That's where we are. That's why I coach this, because these are not that I want to have these conversations. These are essential conversations that people just don't have enough with us. They don't level with us. And I am here to level with you. I'm not going to tell you the comfortable things. I'm going to tell you the uncomfortable truth. And that's if you're down here and you're not hitting your maintenance calorie, you're not giving your body enough energy to work with, and you're holding yourself up from your own goals. That's what's happening. It doesn't matter how much you starve yourself, how many carbs you avoid, how much fat you avoid. You're literally not giving yourself enough to work with. And I see that 9 times out of 10. And I will tell you this, clients that I've had that have been overeaters, even though they're eating more calories than their body needs, they underhit their protein every single time. Every single time without fail, they're not getting enough protein because they're going for the other stuff. So protein, number one, hit that target and get good at that. Once you're proficient at hitting the protein, then go for your total calories. Okay. Work on one thing at a time. So this is where we address, and this is where I segue into our identity around this shift that we need to look to make. Okay. Because how do we resolve this? How do we get to a resolution that's comfortable for ourselves? Right. Well, change is often not comfortable. I'm not asking you to be, sitting there on the sofa eating bonbons and you're going to be ripped just from eating bonbons. I mean, if that were how it's done, everybody would be fucking ripped. Okay. Change is uncomfortable. And I'm not asking you to restrict. Do not cut out all the sugar. Do not cut out all the carbs. Like, don't do that to yourself. It's just not necessary. It's not how this works either. It's how you've been programmed to think it works because diet culture. So we know, because you are not the woman whose body doesn't respond, your body responds. You're the woman whose body is overwhelmed and asking for support. That's what's going on here. So we approach midlife, our body needs the support, needs our support. We're living in it. We're the ones that are in it. Okay. So you're not stuck. You're under-resourced. Okay. You're not plateaued. You're carrying too much without enough nourishment to match the load that you're carrying. Okay. You don't need to push harder. You need to support deeper. That's the truth. This midlife time should not be hinged on restriction. It needs to be about replenishment, fueling, aligning your inputs to your needs. No matter what the number is of the inputs, you need to align them to what your body needs, because you can't just not put fuel in the tank. You're the woman who's capable of doing just that. You are. But again, change is not comfortable. I know I fucking hate change. I hate it. I hate it. I'm actually good at transitions. Happy to say that. Good at transitions. Change just sucks for me. Once I get into that, I changed. I can transition all day long. But think about it this way. You're a parent and it's time for your kid to go to college, right? How many parents do I have out there? I'm not a parent, but I'm going to say it in this context because this makes real sense to me, to everybody. You know, it's time for your kid to go to college, but you tell them, no, I'm not going to accept that it's time for you to go to college. So you're going to keep repeating high school because that's what worked for me. But is it really going to work if your kid is doing the same thing over and over again, like learning the same thing, doing the exact same activities over and over again? That isn't actually aligning with where their mind has developed to. That's asinine, right? Same for your body. It's in a new phase of life too. So to say that I can just starve the fuck out of myself, I don't need this muscle that I've gained. I'm going to deplete the muscle so the scale reads the number that I want it to read. I'm going to starve myself and then sit here and wonder why I'm inflamed. I'm retaining water. I am gaining the weight back 2 times over when I look at a piece of bread. You're in a different phase of life. So it's the same thing as if you're making your kid repeat high school when it's time to go to college. Their mind has developed into a new phase of life. Your body has developed into a new phase of life. And you can either accept it or you can keep going in the same circular motions. Okay. Same thing with hitting the gym hard. Hitting the gym hard used to work. Well, guess what? In midlife, totally different story. Hitting it really hard without fueling, without the proper support, hydration, hitting anything hard. If you're healing from something and you're like, I'm going to just work out like a crazy person and I'm just going to work out every day, hit the weights hard, and I'm going to lose all the weight that I want. No, because your body's healing. It needs energy to heal. Like sometimes you have to like think about that because midlife is a whole different strategy. It's working with your body. It's aligning the strategy with your body's needs. Okay. So where you have been calling it a plateau, I want you to think about this. Where have you been calling it a plateau? When has your body actually been signaling depletion? Okay. Let that guide your 1% mindset shift this week. And I'd love to hear about it. So, if you want to DM me or comment on this video, I'd love to kind of hear where you thought it was a plateau and maybe listening to this, having this conversation helped you think about it in a different way. All right. And if you're a client, bring this into your check-in this week. I want to see where this is showing up for you personally and how many years you have actually been depleted when you really think about it. How many years have you really been under eating? And now we're doing the work to bring you back up. And if you're listening to this at home, your next step is simple. Get your wellness IQ here, comment or DM me IQ, and I'll send you the quiz so you can finally understand what your body has been trying to tell you. Thank you so much for joining me today on the It's Not You pod. And remember, I'm here every Monday at noon Eastern. Bring a friend and share this with a woman who needs to hear it too. And I'll see you next week.